Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new. Please hit that like and subscribe button and let's get right into today's video. So for today's video, we will be doing some acrylic press-on. So here I'm showing you that I will be using the medium square tips from 𝐵𝐵𝒄𝓃. So I'm just getting everything I need. So I got my nail stands, my nail tips, and I decided to use these extra long tips I did get off of Temu. I don't think I showed them in my previous haul when I did that, but I did get these off Temu. So here I'm just measuring out my nail tips and putting them on the stands. So I'm not necessarily making this press-on set for any customer in particular. I'm just doing this for the video. So I'm just going with random sizes, but I do have a size chart like to the side if I wanted to actually make these for a customer or anything like that. And also, if you are interested in any of my custom press-ons, I do have an Etsy storefront for that. I will remember to leave it linked down below if you're interested or if you know anyone who might be interested. So I am trying to go for a bit of a longer length for this nail, so that is why I'm using those nail tips from Temu. I can purchase some longer press-on nail tips, but I prefer to do it this way where I just lengthen them using some nail tips, because to me it's just easier that way. I know it sounds pretty weird because it would just be easier to buy a longer nail tip, but I love being able to just extend the length how I want it or how the client wants, or the customer I mean. It's just fun to do it that way. So now that we got all the press-ons measured, I will be moving on to measuring out the nails, like nail tip extension part. So in here, I will be showing you they do come in a size 0 to 9. And honestly, after I tried measuring out just the pinky nail, it did not measure properly. So I did have to switch the nail tips I was going to be using for today. So like I mentioned, I will be trying to measure out the pinky, and you will notice just how much more bigger this nail tip is compared to the press-on nail tip. So, and that's the thing, is the nail tip on the press-on is a size 9 as well, so it was fitting way too big. So I did decide to just use these extra long coffin nail tips for today's set. And you can see just how much more perfectly they fit using these coffin nail tips. I could have also used the 3XL non-secret square tips, but I just decided to go for the coffin nail tip and try to make it more of a tapered square look. And usually I don't mind if it overlaps just a little bit, but that first tip we did use from Temu, it was just overlapping way too much and I did not like that. So I will go ahead and just finish sizing out the rest of these nail tips, and then I will come back in when it's time to move on to the next step. So now that we got all of our nail tips measured out, I will be using a mini buffer and just gently buffing the free edge area of these nail tips. Like a quick little tip you can do is just clip these nail tips down just a little bit to make them a bit shorter. But like I said, I wanted them to be a bit of a longer length, so I am keeping the natural length of these press-on nail tips, and then I will just be gluing on those coffin nail tips on top of those to lengthen them out. So for my glue, I will be using this 𝐻𝐾 nail glue that I did get off of Amazon. I do try my hardest to leave it linked down below, and I really do stand by this nail glue stick. Like, it holds on super strong. So if you're looking for it to do like acrylic nails, or you want it to hold on like your nail rhinestones or anything like that, or even just your press-ons, I highly recommend this nail glue. So I did go ahead and apply just a tiny amount to the free edge of that press-on nail. And then I did attach that coffin nail tip on that, just holding it down for a couple of seconds. Since you are gluing this like a nail tip on top of another, it doesn't adhere quickly like it would on a natural nail. So you do want to keep that in mind when gluing these nail tips down. You do want to hold them down for quite a bit. And then after they're a bit sturdy, just go ahead and move on to the next one. So once I got everything nice and glued on, this is what it's looking like. So we will have to go ahead and trim them down. So I will be using my nail tip cutter and just slightly trimming them down. I won't be doing like a super long length, but I'm not doing super like short either. I'm kind of going for more of like a medium to long length for today's set. So here I thought this length was perfect, so I will be going ahead and trimming down the rest of the nails to fit this length. And so what I like to do is I kind of like to match up the cuticle like area of that press on nail tip to the previous nail, and then just trim down the free edge to kind of match with the other nails. So now that I got everything nicely trimmed down, this is what the length is looking like. Now it's time to file them, so I am just using my hand file and just shaping up the sidewalls to make sure that coffin nail tip is nicely blended to that press on nail. And then I will also just be squaring off that free edge to give it a nice sharp look, and then I will be doing that to the rest of the press on nails. So very quickly before we finish with our filing process, I did kind of want to show you how I match the other like hand of the press-ons to the same length on the other. So I do like to do the same thing, just line up the other nail to the cuticle area on the previous one and just trim them down to match that same length. I know most people prefer to clip down the length before putting them on the nail stands, and sometimes I do that if I am just keeping a shorter length, but since we did extend them with these coffin nail tips, I did have to kind of measure the tips after I had applied the coffin nail tips. Now that we have everything nicely trimmed to the same length, I am taking my medium grit sanding band from Nails and Blings, and I will be blending in that coffin nail tip to that press on nail, along with just removing the shine in general from the press on nail, so that way when we go in with our acrylic it sticks nicely to the surface. So these are what we are working with so far. Everything is nicely filed and everything like that. So for the acrylic, I will be using the color Silk from our Lavish Nudes collection on KAIROSE Nail Supply. It is a very beautiful like soft brown nude color. I do have it linked down below if you're interested in any of the products that we do have on our website. So for today's set, I am kind of recreating a set. I will remember to pop it up here so you guys can kind of see what I will be going for today. So using that silk color, I will be applying it to all the nails. So this first bead here was a medium-sized bead, and I applied it right below the cuticle area of that press on and just gently blended it down towards the free edge. And then I do like to kind of blend it upwards towards the cuticle area to kind of give it a nice seamless look so it's not too bulky there. And then of course you want to always remember to wipe your sidewalls to keep your nice shape that you do have so it's less filing when you go in to file later. Now I'm taking another medium-sized bead of acrylic and applying it right where that first one was and just gently blended it up towards the cuticle area, and then once I got that nice and situated, I will go ahead and blend it down towards the free edge. Now always remember, since these are acrylic press-ons, you do not want them to be super bulky because they will not look natural when your when your customer applies them on. So you do kind of want to keep the application to like a very thin layer when you are applying the acrylic. So you do also, like for like longer lengths, you do kind of want to have a nice apex though, because these are long nails and you do want to make sure that they do last a bit as well. I hope all that made sense. It didn't really make sense to me just now, but yeah, so kind of just to recap, you want to make sure that your acrylic is not super bulky when applying it on some press-ons, because the press-on itself is already a little bit thick and you do not want to add any more thickness with that acrylic. So I will go ahead and let the rest of the application play out, because like I said, I will be applying this nude color to all the nails. So I will go ahead and let you guys watch that. And also, I am only just showing you the process on one set of the press-ons rather than showing you both, because it will be just super repetitive. Now that we finished our acrylic application, these are what the nails are looking like. It is time to shape and file them. And honestly, for just filing press-ons, I like to just use my hand file only, except for using the nail drill in the beginning. So to do my filing, I like to shape out the sidewalls first to make sure everything is nice and seamless, and then I like to file over the surface. So for the cuticle area, I like to file in a downward motion, so that way it kind of isn't so bulky there, so when your customer applies them, or if you wear press-ons and you apply them, you can see that they're looking like a natural full set, like you just got an acrylic full set done rather than some press-ons on. And then after filing that cuticle area, I just like to file over the entire surface to make everything nice and smooth and kind of debulk any areas that need to be debulked. So I will go ahead and let the rest of this play out and just let you guys watch it, since it is repetitive on this part, and then I will come back in when it's time to buff these nails and move on to some nail art. Now, since we will be doing tons of nail art, as you saw in the reference photo, you do want to make sure you are buffing over the surface so everything is nice and smooth when you go in with your gel polish or any type of nail art that you do have. So these are what the nails are looking like after everything's been nicely shaped, filed, and buffed. So it's time to move on to the nail art. Off camera, I did go ahead and mix this very beautiful green color. I did use two Madam Glam gel polishes, and I will be showing them in just a second. So this first one here is like a nice blue one. I don't know how to pronounce the name. And then obviously we have this neon lime green. And I did go ahead and mix some of our classic white gel polish from KAIROSE Nail Supply. So I will be taking this green color and doing French tips on the ring finger, the middle finger, and the thumbnail as well. And guys, I highly recommend you guys getting these liner brushes because they work so good. Like, for me to do French tips or any type of nail art, they work so good, and I don't have to trim them to be super thin or anything like that. I think the thickness that they already are is just so perfect. So if I remember, I will try to leave these linked down below. And if they're not available on Temu no more, I will try to find a similar product to that. So to kind of explain the nail art that we just did, I did go ahead and outline my French tip on this finger. And once I got that smile line perfect how I wanted it, I will be taking that same green gel polish and just infilling the rest of the nail tip. And then after that, I will go ahead and cure that in the light for about 30 seconds to make sure it's nice and cured. Oh, I also wanted to mention too, I did recently purchase like a little mini microphone to do my voiceovers, so let me know if you notice any changes in the quality of my voiceovers, and let me know if it's good changes or if I should just go back to without using the microphone. I've tried to listen back to my voiceovers with me using the microphone, and it sounds okay, but some parts I feel like just don't sound right, so I don't know if I just don't have it connected right or if I'm not using it right, but let me know what you guys think down below. So like I said, I will be doing French tips on the ring finger, the middle finger, and the thumbnail, so I will go ahead and let you guys watch the rest of the French tip process, and I'll come back in once it's time to move on to the next nail art step. So before moving on to any of the rest of the nail art, I will be applying a very thin layer of this matte gel top coat from Model 1s. I will be using some pigment powders to do like the aura effect. I did purchase an airbrush machine and some like airbrush paints and everything like that, and just for some reason it is not working properly. I think it's clogged, and I've asked people on my Instagram page how to like help with that, and everybody's recommending using acetone to get like clean it up a bit. And some people are saying to use the gel polish with acetone method when doing that, which I was kind of trying to stay away from because I read the like health risks about that. So I don't know yet what I want to do about the whole airbrush thing. So for now I'm just sticking to the pigments until I get everything figured out with that. Once I apply that matte gel top coat, I will go ahead and cure this in the light for about 30 seconds, so that way it kind of has a nice sticky layer to it as well for the pigment to stick to. And this is the color for the pigments. I did go ahead and mix a neon blue, a neon green, and some white pigment powder to kind of get this nice like minty teal look. And I will also be using the smoky eyeshadow brush that I did purchase from Walmart. So to kind of do the aura effect, I just do like little tapping motions with that pigment on the brush and just place it where I want the effect to be. And then since you can see that it's a bit lighter here, I will have to go in with the second layer, which I will explain in just a little bit. So now that we got that first layer done, I will go ahead and apply another layer of matte top coat, and then I will go ahead and cure that in the light as well for 60 seconds this time. And then just going in with another layer of that pigment powder. It does kind of help doing it this way, but one thing I don't like about using like pigments or acrylic powder to kind of get this effect is it just fades after you top coat or you use a brush to wipe all that excess product away. So that's one reason I did buy the airbrush, so that way it doesn't do that. But like I said, I'm just having issues with my airbrush machine, so I will have to just figure out some sort of other method from now on. Unless I can figure out this airbrush machine, then that would be great, because I put a lot of money into it and the gel paints and just everything like that, so I hope I can get it figured out. But after doing that second layer, I am taking another makeup brush and just wiping off that excess powder before we go ahead with the rest of the nail art. So I will be top coating with this Macart gel top coat before we move on to the actual hand drawn nail art, because if I mess up, I don't want to wipe any of this pigment away. So applying a very nice layer of some top coat will help protect that aura effect underneath. And then I will go ahead and just cure that in the light for 60 seconds. So now to finally move on to the actual nail art, I will be doing those 3D lines. I saw a video where you just apply the rhinestone glue onto your liner brush. So I will be trying that for today's video, and I did notice that it did have a better look than my previous video where I just had it on my nail palette and using it that way. I still feel like I could improve a bit more doing these 3D lines, but to me they did come out pretty good for today's set. So I will be doing 2 lines on the left side of each French tip, so I'm just applying that 𝓵𝑃𝑢 rhinestone glue onto my liner brush, making sure that the tip is mainly full of that, because you want to leave the thickness mainly at the tip, the top of the 3D line portion anyway, and then kind of just drag it down to a nice thin line. And that's where I was kind of messing up. I was just making the whole line just an even thickness when I really wanted the very end of it to be thin, but that's absolutely okay. Like I said, I can just keep improving when doing this design. Once I finish the 3D lines on all the French tips, I will go ahead and cure that in the light for 30 seconds before we move on to the rest of the nail art. Now for the hand-drawn nail art portion, I did go ahead and mix a little bit more blue and a little bit more white into that green color we did previously mix for the French tips. So I will be doing these kind of curved line nail art. I don't really know the actual term of this look, but the 90s look or something like that. I don't know. But I will be doing these lines on the upper left and the bottom left corner of the nails, and then I will be taking my dotting tool in that same gel polish color and doing some cute little dots around that as well. And then after that, I will go ahead and cure that in the light for 30 seconds. So to get onto the rest of the nail art portion, I am applying a little bit of this 𝓵𝑃𝑢 rhinestone nail glue in the center of these 2 nails that do not have the French tips. And I will be applying some of these cute blue 3D flowers, so I'm applying a bigger one and a small one. And then I will be applying some of these rhinestones around that as well. And then after I got everything situated on that nail, I will go ahead and cure that in the light for a full 10 seconds, just to kind of flash cure to keep it in place before we move on to the rest of the nails. So again, doing the same exact thing on this finger as well, just applying that rhinestone glue in the center, and then applying a bigger and a smaller blue 3D flower, and then those cute little rhinestones around them as well. So while that other nail is curing in the light, I decided just to finish off the rest of the nail art with the rhinestones. So I'm applying that 𝓵𝑃𝑢 rhinestone glue along the French tip portion of the smile line, I guess. I don't know if that made sense at all, but yeah. And then I'm applying some of those tiny rhinestones that I did have off to the side. I don't really know the actual name for those ones because they're not AB rhinestones or anything like that. And then I will be applying a tinier actual AB rhinestone underneath that as well, and curing that in the light for about 30 seconds to make sure everything is nice and cured and fully in place. Now these are what the nails should look like after everything is nicely cured. It's time to top coat now, so I will be using the Classic Diamond gel top coat from KAIROSE Nail Supply and applying that all around the rhinestones and everything, making sure to avoid getting it on the actual rhinestones and everything, and then go ahead and cure that in the light for a full 60 seconds. And one tip I do have when top coating these 3D nails, like with the 3D gel effect, is just to apply very thin layers over that so that way it doesn't take away from that effect. But once everything is nicely top coated, I will go ahead and put it on the light for a full 60 seconds. And that's pretty much the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!